What's going on, guys? Sumner Healey from landinvestor.co. Today I'm joined by LIA member Anthony Reese. What's up, Anthony? How you doing?
Doing pretty good. How about you, buddy?
Good, man. Getting ready to pack my bags and go to Colombia this weekend, so I'm looking forward to it. I've been I've been doing these sprints where I'll work for 4 weeks and then take a week or two off. I've always wanted to go to Colombia, so I'm looking forward to it. But let people know where you calling in from. And we're going to dive in and share Anthony's land investing story. He's been with us for about 3.5 months. He's nailed down 2 insane first deals, and has just been making strides in this business. So I think you guys are going to learn a ton. If you're just getting started or a few months in, there's going to be a bunch of valuable resources you can take away from this. We're also going to riff and do kind of like a one-on-one coaching session here. So you guys will get a lot of good takeaways from that. But let people know where you're calling in from.
So I'm from Grass Valley, California. Most people will not know where that's at, but small little town. It's gotten a lot bigger since I've lived here. I've lived here since I was 2 years old, so about as far back as I can remember. But most people just know it as the place you pass on your way to Tahoe. So that's pretty much it. It's north of Sacramento a little bit. But just recently got involved with this after, I'd say, 6 or 7 months of long debate and internal battle of whether I believed this or not, honestly, that this stuff is possible. And it just seems too good to be true off the, like, at the face of it. So, but yeah, my brother, you went ran that marathon with him. He's done them for a while now. And he was the one telling me about all this. And when I first heard it, it just was like, there's no way. There's just no way. There's no way you're just coming in here, swooping up a property for 65 grand and flipping it for 120. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And sure enough, that's exactly what we're doing. It was just seemed way too wild. But then my brother kept kind of pounding it in my head. Just like, hey, just check it out. Check it out. So I kept looking, started watching the videos, kind of getting an idea, and started checking more YouTube videos, the Instagram videos, and just trying to get an idea of it. Andrew, yeah, he's always been a pretty good inspiration for my brother as well, a personal trainer, and he likes your kind of drive when it comes to business. So it's been I think a nice influence on him as well. But yeah, he was the one who told me about it too. And I started looking into it more and then started really understanding like the basics of it. And it makes more sense that this can happen with land.
Yep.
Just because, like you said, people there, especially if they don't live on the land, they're not attached to it in the same fashion that they would be if you're asking them, hey, can I buy your house for half the price of what it's worth? It's not going to work. That just does not. It's a far more efficient market because, like you said, there's more data available. Plus, it's just there's more attachment involved too. So once I started looking into it, it's like, wow, this is a very real thing here. And score some nice properties that people just don't care about and just want to let go of and put it on the market. So, and then also there's just so many other ways to close on a property, double close, plus finance. I didn't even think about that. How many other ways you can go about doing this and actually, make it a profit from that. So I've always wanted to get involved with the real estate industry in some way, shape, or form. And this wasn't necessarily how I expected it, but I like it so far.
Yeah.
I like it. So
it's funny. Your brother for months has been telling me, like, dude, you got to get Anthony involved. You got to get Anthony involved. He's going to love it. Love it. And one of my favorite things from a coaching standpoint is like when we get people that come to us that are skeptics. So we either have one or two things happen. We get people that come to us that have been in for 6 months, a year. We get people coming to us that have been in for longer than I have, 7 years. They're not skeptics at that point. They just need the infrastructure, the support, and like the systems around building the business. Then we get people like you, where it's like, I don't even know if this is real. Like, come on. And then I think the element is when you see the light bulb go off and they say, holy F, this is real, right? Because it's such a unique opportunity. There's really no other real estate asset that plays similar to land, right? There's low connection. People don't live on the land. It's very different than a house. It's a very fragmented, inefficient market. I always tell people this is less similar to going and flipping a house. It's more similar to going to a garage sale and buying someone's couch and flipping it, right? There's just not much connection to it. People will sell their couch at 20 cents on the dollar. Same thing can happen here with land. So you joined us end of January. You've had a pretty wild run up since then. You really just kind of glommed onto this business. 2 first deals are slam dunk deals, right? First one, all in after title around 68. You guys got it listed at 155. And then putting a second one together right now. What's that one? Buy for 65, sell for 120?
I think I honestly looking more and more at it, like 120 seems like worst case scenario. I think like 130 actually seems like what you had originally said. 130 seems very realistic. Just the only one that I'm unsure about because there's not much data to go off of is that 7-acre portion, that 7-acre parcel. out of the bunch. Yeah, that one 7 acre parcel out of the 7 of 5. This is the second parcel. I mean, the second deal up in like west of Spokane, Washington, and that one is 7 of 5 and a 1 acre. The 7 acre has water, septic, and electricity installed already. There's not much data to go off of what first an empty 7 acre without any improvements on it would go for, let alone one with basically turnkey ready to drop a house on it. Yep. So that one is the one I'm a little bit unsure of, but I couldn't see it going for less than 65 or 70. So realistically, based off of what I'm seeing, chances of it going for higher than that, pretty realistic. So, but we always like to underwrite conservatively. So I'll stick with the 130 mark for
that's something that you've done really good too. Like some people come in and they just have blind optimism on every deal. This deal's worth 110% of market value. But you've done a really good job underwriting your deals below market. And you put yourself in really good positions because of that. Like that deal, 3 lots near Spokane, near a river, that 7 acre, there's nothing out there like it. Like there's a world where that 7 acre moves at 100, right? And then the other 2 are easy money. But the way you've been underwriting them, I think is really wise. And that's like typically a little more advanced, right? People come in, they're usually a little more optimistic on deals. You've done a really good job with that. So let's talk about, I mean, yes, it's only 2 deals in your first 3 months, but those are 2 big deals. I mean, that's $100K in pipeline profit, more than $100K in pipeline profit in your first quarter of this business. It's pretty uncanny, right? So you've done a really good job scaling up. Let's talk about from day one till now, what's along that journey, what's been surprising, right? Is there anything that's been like, I didn't expect that? It's either easier or harder than I thought.
I would say let's start with easier. Talking to people. I realized, then again, like I've been in the restaurant industry now for about 4 years. All I do all day is talk to random strangers and learn how to, shoot the shit with them and be able to connect with them in a quick way too. So, and I've been told I'm very personable from all my employers too. Like they love my ability to go do that. So I was shocked that just over the phone, I can just really get people comfortable with me. It seems pretty quickly too. I don't know exactly. I don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect it to be so easy and kind of come so naturally to me. But it's been a lot easier and a lot less like frightening talking to random strangers about buying their property than I thought. And so it's been pretty pleasant. The one thing I would say is harder for me than I anticipated is finding enough data that I can comfortably price with a blind offer. But then again, like we talked about, because it's never, you don't have to nail it right on the pinhead, but like, I feel like, okay, I find it, for example, I'll find like a subdivision, like, okay, I know, going for 5K an acre right here. Then I start looking, I was like, I don't like the subdivision. And then I was like, actually, I don't like this one. Sell-through rates are decent. Properties look kind of garbage. Nothing's really built on it. No one's really building out here. So it's like, shy away. So trying to find the combination of land that you can actually price accurately, good land in a good area, and trying to find all those to meet happily. I'm finding like I just sent out, I think it was literally, just Monday went out to Arizona with 1,000 records, a little over 1,000, I think it's 1,018 records went out to Arizona. And I'd say it took me 3 or 4 days of about 3 to 4, maybe 5 hours a piece sitting there. And I'll get like a couple hundred done. I'm like, God.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. It doesn't bother me. I see it as almost an inevitability for me to transfer to start doing, in order to start exceeding my data that I'm pulling and mailing, to start moving over to range offers at some point, just to kind of make way for not being able to price it perfectly, seeing the high end and the low end and be like, all right, we're probably going to be right around here, somewhere in there. And that will make me, I feel a little bit more comfortable with being able to hit different markets, higher end markets, without shying away. Cause like right now, I've actually spent all yesterday and today building one out for Idaho. And it's just crazy because I did find some commonalities with what was pending. Like, for example, up in the kind of Coeur d'Alene, Sandpoint area, there's a whole lot of like 5 acres right around 200 to 240. And it's pretty common. 220 seemed to be the mark that was pretty consistent, and they're actually moving because obviously there's some people who are pricing it like they think there's a house already on it, and it's not the case. They're asking like $500,000 for a 10 acre, and like it's still dirt out. But it's kind of funny seeing that too. But those ones will sit on the market for 600 days, and like there's a reason. Like some realtor probably told them, yeah, it's worth $500,000. It's not. So and to see what moved like that, like there's a couple that went pending in a matter of days, sometimes hours, even right around that 220 mark. I'm like, okay, so people see it at this price in this area, they want it now. So I'm like, all right, that gives me a good frame, and I'm also hitting it with slightly higher than I'd say 55, maybe 60% on the offer price, hopefully to get it. And if you dial back and look, I would still, if you bought in that area, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, maybe even further back, then you're going to be making money even at the offer that I'm giving you.
Right.
So it's, I feel pretty comfortable with it. I just, obviously we'll see when it gets sent out, but just trying to find these markets where I'm like, okay, the land's awesome. It's not everything is trading for $1 million. Like I remember Sedona, I looked and I was like, it's got to be a typo. It's like 1.3 million for an empty 3-acre lot. I'm like, dude, you can't make this stuff up right now. It's just red rocks, guys.
Yeah.
But they love them apparently. So, but trying to find good markets, good land, not too hot of a market. All looking for all the criteria. I would say that is the most difficult thing to match the volume that I would eventually like to see. Right now, I'm only doing about 2,000 records a month, just so I can be like working full time on the side right now and still manage everything. And actually, I feel like I could probably do a little bit more, but the cost of doing about 2,000 records a month plus all the operational costs, I feel comfortable with it. Like I feel like I don't get a deal for the next year, it won't bother me.
Right.
So I can sustain this, and I'll wait until the deal comes through and start ramping up when I'm using house money. So I feel really comfortable with it right now. So eventually, but I see that being an issue off in the future. Got to start figuring out how to get the volume up. And even remailing will help too, but in order to hit 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month, eventually, I gotta figure something else out. So.
Well, we could talk about that. This is it's growing pains for sure. But I think one of the things you've done really well is finding those Goldilocks markets, right? Like not taking concessions there, and that's how you've been able to send out 2,000 mailers a month, which in the grand scheme of things is peanuts, and put together a 100K plus of pipeline profit. In 3 months. That's crazy because you think about it, 3 months, first month you're just learning. There's really 2 months of like consistent mail. So the yield from your mailing has been bananas. Like if you looked at the ROAS for what you spent on 4,000, 5,000 mailers, it's crazy. And now once that capital comes back, then you are really playing with house's money and you could double down on your mailing. But the conundrum is, well, how do I find stuff that's still of quality? So a couple of things that happen. One, this is a skill. You will get better at it. You will get faster at it. So it'll pull back some of the time. Range offers, like moving over to a range offer, will allow you to be a little more wide with your pricing and a little bit faster on putting it together. That'll help, but you'll still have a lot of work on the back end for the acquisition stuff. So it's like either way, the work's going to happen on the front or the back. It's just how you want to slice it. Right? But the goal is like the way we put together our strategy with the market selection, with the pricing, is it so another person can come and plug into it. The goal is that you don't do that forever. And you can see now it's like, if you could learn it in 3 months, an employee can learn it in 3 months, right? Damn black, right? And that's kind of the light at the end of the tunnel. We're releasing a new program with Rylan, one of our old LIA members. And it's called 7-Figure Pricing Secrets. And it's essentially going through showing how he's kind of built out a team around his pricing, shows his pricing strategy. So he's brought people in to do the market selection and the pricing. And that's like rocket fuel to your business. But one of the things is in the intro, you might have to make a concession on quality. I would never make a concession on quality for the markets, but for the pricing. So let's look at it like this. Let's say you're doing 2,000 letters a month. And let's say you're getting a deal for every 2,000 letters, just hypothetically, which seems pretty accurate right now. Let's say you get worse at your price. And let's just say theoretically your yield goes down. So now we're getting a deal every 2,400 letters. All right, so we're paying a little bit more for the deal. But if we can go from 2,000 letters a month to 6,000 letters a month, and it's going to take just a little more time on the market selection side, now you've gone from doing 1 deal to 3 deals a month or 2.5 deals a month, right? And so the quality will naturally dip as volume scales, but that's just really the only way to hit the big numbers, right? You can't be doing 6 figures a month, sending 2,000 letters a month, even if they're perfectly priced. So like your quality will go down. And I think for someone like you who has the attention to detail, at least what I've seen, that can be a tough thing to wrestle with, but it is necessary. Another thing that I think you do really well for other folks to learn from is that I haven't listened to all your seller calls, obviously, but what I've gathered is you talk to them like they're just normal people. 2 things happen. One, people trying to get all buttoned up business style, and that's just weird. Like no one resonates with that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just bizarre. The other thing is people get nervous because there's a lot of money on the line. You do a good job just talking as if they're like someone sitting at your table at a restaurant, right? And I think we've always looked at this relationship between talk time and getting deals done. So the longer our conversation is, we know the more likely we're going to make a deal out of it. And so I think you probably just stay in conversations longer than some people would, which pays dividends. Tell me, when you're having conversations with a seller, do you only talk about the land, or you guys shoot the breeze on a bunch of other things?
If they bring up a certain subject too, I remember I was just talking to, actually I did get one or two, okay, I got 2 leads in from North Carolina that were kind of garbage, didn't really like them. And then these other 2, one I'm kind of interested in, one's another guy, he has a total, I remember I mailed him on a 23 acre at like $65K. Turns out that was part of 91 acres that he already has listed for like $460,000 right now. Problem is, it hasn't sold, and my guess is because the legality of the access is it's an area where, it goes many years, and there's handshake deals going on to access the property. So that's one thing he said he's working on. And I looked further at one of the properties he owns, and I saw this one right across the street. I think it's all the whole family kind of owns these from what I've seen. And it's an 8 acre. I was talking to him, but I was chatting it up with him, and he's just a super cool guy to talk to. And he was asking me, he's like, once I get this property sold, I'm going to go spend some of this hard-earned money and go travel and go enjoy things. And he's like, what parts of California should I come check out? And I was like, honestly, the area I'm in is beautiful. Like the Northern California, up in the mountains near Tahoe, like it's gorgeous out here. And I told him, like, I'm like a full-time bartender pretty much on the side, and bartender at server. And he's like, oh, when I come up there, I'm like, I want to go get a drink, and I'll come see you. It's like stuff like that. Yeah. Like you said, like chatting it up about random stuff. And he's I forget what he said too, but he was just super like kind of personable and just chatting them up about everything in the certain areas that I live in. So yeah, we talk about kind of whatever and find any way to relate to them. And like you said, just make yourself seem like just a normal person who wants to buy land. I feel like it's far more attractive to other people if you can at least just have some sort of connection past just a business level. Hi, I want to buy your land. This is what we can pay. Like I would say, hey, like I'm a normal person. This is what I do. Like. And just set that kind of a tone, I feel far more valuable. It just makes it just relatable. I mean, yeah, it's been a huge focus of mine to make sure that I can do that and just get in contact in a way that creates that kind of a sense of this is just a normal person. I like him. Yeah, it's been helpful.
Yeah, I think so, man. I think a lot of people think it's about price, or just talking specifics about the land. I know this has been said 1,000,001 times. It's like, dude, it's so true. People sell and do business with people they know, like, and trust. And a lot of times it's hard to build trust just talking about the property. Like I always like when I listen to my team's calls and they're talking about this one time they went and visited that place or this place and the weather here. And it's like, yeah, that stuff, that goes a long way. Now you do run into sellers that fit into like what we call red sellers, right? Different kind of personality types. And you got to know when to throw on the rapport and when to dial it back. There's some people that just they want you off the phone, or they want to be real quick and snappy. And you got to know how to bounce back from that. Let's talk about kind of the vision for this business, right? You're 3.5 months in or so right now, 2 deals, you're bartending currently. What are we looking to do in 2023? And is this a goal of yours to go full time this year?
I would say within the year, I don't know if I want to go full time. My goal is to ramp this up. My whole goal this year was to make as much as I make at the restaurant. I make right around, I'd say, in my pocket, at the end of the year, between 60 and 70 grand, I'd say. After tips, the whole deal. So I was like, my goal is just to double that and just make exactly what I make on the side. Like looking at that, and how we're probably going to do that in the first quarter.
Yeah, you're like quadruple that.
Yeah. So over the course of an entire year, how it's done, we'll be long past that. Yeah. But I like to set some realistic goals too. I don't want to waltz in here thinking I'm going to be a millionaire tomorrow. Like, not my MO. And set unrealistic expectations. Set yourself up for disappointment if you fail. If you fail based off those expectations. And realistic, I don't need all that much more money right now. I just want to buy a house. Like, that's pretty much it. And I got a good chunk. If interest rates weren't so insane right now, I could go do it right now. But it's just the cost of actually getting a mortgage is ridiculous. So I'd say step one, get enough to go buy a house, and that'd be cool if I could sidestep the brokerages completely and say no mortgage, I'm buying that. That would be awesome. So ideally, yes, I want to go full time with this too. But in the case, my hesitation is in the case that I do need to get a mortgage, I have to hold my W-2 for a while longer and segue out of this. And because even if I were to stop today, do this, it might be 2 to 3 years before someone can qualify me on a mortgage based off the income I'm making from this.
Yeah.
So the goal is to maintain I do a little bit both. Maybe I'm thinking as it ramps up, I wanted to say, I'm not looking to go skyrocket right to no W-2 and right into this. Like I would like to slowly segue it in, like where I drop a day at work per week. And then once it ramps up even more, drop another day at work to the point where I'm only doing 3 days, maybe 2 days at work per week. And especially because I mostly would work like weekends. I could probably just do this during the weekdays on like 4 or 5 days and then just might as well go. And it's also, I've worked alone before. I have had entrepreneurial things before, and some worked out. Like I said, some same situation as you did. Some work out, some don't. Some worked great, some terrible failures. And but one thing I've realized is working alone for me is not my thing, which is nice because we have the big group of people. We got the group calls that we do, like that having this community you're involved with, where you're not just alone staring at a screen talking to sellers. Like that sounds brutal eventually. So I would like to segue out and also maintain some sort of like a social job that I kind of already have and have that. So I don't see myself dropping off and going full-time completely. Even if I am quote unquote full-time 5 days a week, only working on this, I'd still probably pick up a shift here and there at my other job just to maintain that. So, but mostly looking for a smooth transition, not just a hard stop and move on.
So slowly phase out of it.
All right, quick interruption. If you are looking to grow a 6 or 7 figure land investing business, you're most likely going to check out our land investing scholarship. This gives you access to the LIA group coaching program at discounts never before seen, allows you to work with myself and directly with our team of LIA coaches. If you think you're a good fit for it, I recommend applying. The link is down in the description below. If you are selected, we'll move forward with a call and get everything going. Anyways, back to the video.
Yeah, dude, it's funny. I mean, literally part of the reason that we created the LIA community was like, this is a lonely game. And it's not only is it a lonely game, it's also a weird thing for other people to have context around. Like, it's hard to explain the ups and the downs and stuff. And so it's like, you can really only share the good and the bad with other land investors, you know? The community aspect of the thing is so important. And talking about like 4 Minute Mile, right? Like you see people pulling off crazy things like community, you're just like, oh, I mean, they're no different than I am. I am with a call every day. I could do the same thing. I think it's super important. I will say, yeah, it's interesting as an entrepreneur because you can make 40 grand a year and have a W-2 and get a better loan or even have the possibility of getting a mortgage than you can if you own your own business. So typically it's about 2 years. In those 2 years, you really want to make sure that you beef up your income statement. Because like, you know, if you're running a business, the goal is let's write off as much as possible. Let's try to not claim as possible. And you kind of got to do the opposite for 2 years. So super tricky. One thing you could do kind of as a tangent, now that you understand how to go direct to owner with direct mail, you could go and mail blind offers to houses. You can even try to structure owner financing, which is probably what I would do in this market environment.
I actually got outbid on a duplex and it was going to be a seller finance deal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had it on the market for $350, which is like, I was like, when I saw this, I was like, oh, we need to try and hop on this $350,000 duplex. It was in Chico, California. Because originally I told you I was going to go to Chico because I finished up community college. And basically, in order to get financial aid, I had to buy a house first. So it's either I put the money into a house first or I dump it all on a college degree. But if I put it in a house first, I can get a college degree in the house. Yeah. So it was a weird dichotomy there where it's like everyone was like, wait, you can't go to school, you have to buy a house first. How does that make sense? Well, I theoretically could, yes, go to school, but then I'm going to be dumping over the course of 2 years well over $100,000 for a piece of paper. I can't live in a piece of paper. Yeah. So my focus was like, all right, get a house first. That is far more important. But I found a $350,000 duplex in Chico, and that's like pretty good. And I did the math on it. I broke it down as a deal. It would have been about 5 cap. So if I didn't live in it, about 5% per year, it'd be returning to me. And if I did live in it, it would cost me for a 2-bed, 1-bath, like $400 a month, $500 a month. Yeah. So pretty solid setup. But that was at $350, and I think I put an offer in for $365, half cash. And I got outbid. Someone came in $20K over me. So it ended up selling 10% over asking at the worst part of the market. So goes to show. There's a good deal, and people are on it, and they are waiting on the sidelines right now trying to get it. So But yeah, no, I was thinking the same thing is like, especially once you got Dennis in there and all the sub two and all the different, like, everything he was talking about is like, I can right now, like, go try and find a house. And if we do sub two, I can just take over their mortgage and just get it at that lower interest rate. That's the only thing stopping me right now is the interest rates, really.
Yeah.
And, so definitely, everything we're learning here is so translatable to if we move outside of the land business. Obviously, we can't come in just half price and expect people to call us back. But the process of mailing, dealing with leads, coming to a conclusion, same thing can happen, just different numbers, different ball game when it comes to maybe rentals too. Because I know there's another person I follow, I can't think of the name right now, who specifically kind of does what we do, but with like rentals, and obviously he doesn't get it quite at the discount that we do with land, but he comes in offering cash like not half market value, but like 60-70% sometimes, all the way up to 80 and 90, and mostly looking for duplexes that passes basically his math, or not duplexes, any sort of multifamily that passes just a simple math equation that makes sure it will cash flow, especially in this market. So doing the same things that we're doing here right now in that market too, I could totally see that eventually taking place as well. And definitely would love to do that. This is my primary focus right now, because this is obviously...
This is the cash flow engine. This brings the cash flow. You can take these same principles and then you just go replicate elsewhere for buy and hold assets. That's a bridge you'll cross when you get there, though. Like, you'll have so much income that you're like, I need depreciation for real estate to offset some of that. If you guys don't know who Dennis is, so Dennis is the sales trainer inside the LIA community. He used to be with Sub 2, and he's done a bunch of Sub 2 deals himself. Essentially what they do is take over mortgages, which right now when interest rates are crazy, makes a lot of sense, right? You'll get something at 3% interest. But let's talk about, you came in here, obviously you've been curious about real estate, but no real estate background. You've ran other businesses, but I wouldn't say there was any carryover to this kind of business. Like, this is kind of a once upon a nuance. So coming in like as a total newbie, what was that like? Like, what would you say is words of recommendation to someone that's kind of in the similar shoes right now?
First of all, it's real. It's real. That was the biggest hurdle for me to get over, is actually realizing that this is possible. Obviously, you're going to send out 1,000 or 2,000 mailers just to even get some people to call you back, but the math makes sense on doing that. So that's the big part of it. And also, it's going to take quite, like, I will say, like, I just kind of just started feeling better today. I was sick the last couple of days. I realized I've had, ever since I started this, specifically once mail actually started hitting mailboxes, for me to maintain mailing, like putting out new mail, deal with all these calls, deal with organizing, getting this property that we're closing on right now on the market. I work 4 to 5 hours a day before I go work another 7 hours. So like it's definitely, again, this work, I would say, is far less stressful and not physically taxing as my other job can be, but it is a lot of work, but it's not like, I don't know, I'm a workaholic, so it doesn't bother me that it is a lot of work, but it's well worth it. Like, when you look back at it, you're like, really, I just did a bunch of emails and calls, and I got like 50 grand in pipeline possibly coming from this. Like, I was like, that, it doesn't seem to make, like, the math just does not make sense on the hours that I work doing other stuff and what I've had to do, 50 grand in the past. Like, I was like, I just fielded some calls and took some emails and just coordinated everything, and then here we go. So obviously it's still work. It still has to get done. And it's not just going to be like, I mean, obviously down the road, once you build this up, once you know it enough to the point where you can start hiring, training people to go do it, yes, you can get down to the point where you got this machine at the cost of profit, because you got to pay all these other people. You'll start having this machine that just churns out money. Obviously, the law of diminishing returns will eventually take place the more you scale it up. But at the beginning, obviously, it's well worth scaling. But of course, if you get to the point where we're talking maybe 50 or 100 people underneath you, you might have to do the things differently. Yeah. But in order to get to that, it's going to be some work, and then eventually it won't be as much work. I'm aware of that too, and that's hopefully, like, the goal is to eventually build this up to the point where I got people underneath me where I can at least take not quite as much time building out all these mailers, taking all these calls, doing all that kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely for the word of advice, be ready to work, be ready to do something. I feel like there's people who are looking for this quick, easy way to go just make a bunch of money without doing a whole bunch, whether it be like you name it. You see anybody or any ad on the internet, someone telling you can make $1 million drop shipping, something like that. Like it's not the case. There is the possibility if you put the effort in and the work in doing this, that huge rewards will come of it too, but just be prepared to work.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's the most important thing I would address is like, I knew it was going to be a lot of work, and I'm actually surprised it's not quite as much as I was expecting, but also like, it's pretty straightforward work. It's a bunch of little things you just got to put together.
Yeah.
Like it's not too crazy. So it's nothing complex that we're doing. We're not building a rocket to go to Mars.
For sale. There's an inside joke with land investors that all we do is shuffle papers, which is in a roundabout way is not far from the truth. I mean, it's one of those things that when you're first starting, you can't discount hard work. Unfortunately, all your results are going to come from how hard you work. But 6 months, 12 months, 24 months in, those start to disconnect. You start to build leverage within the system, and that's when it gets really exciting. But yeah, it's like, I hate when people pitch this as passive income, as a side hustle. Like, no, this is a business. It takes work. But what's cool, like making $1 million with a fluke chance in a couple of weeks, or building a business that consistently spits out $1 million and takes you 2 years to build. I take the second one because this will pay you for life.
All day.
Yeah, once you build this, you build it once and you're done. It's pretty incredible what happens. So yeah, it sounds like it's a little more work than you expected, but less complex than you expected overall. Like the structure of the systems are relatively straightforward. Yeah, there's some nuance to selecting markets and all that jazz, but it's relatively straightforward. Let's talk about questions that you have for me. Anything that I can help kind of diagnose where you're at and where you're looking to go.
Nothing really screams at me right now. It just feels like I just need to keep doing more of what I'm doing right now and just get some profit in the books so I can start leveraging that against doing more mail and just start the scaling process a little bit and start building it up. But like I said, I'm perfectly comfortable with where I'm at until I get some profit coming in right now. Because like I said, if I don't do a deal for the whole entire next year, I can easily sustain this rate. Like no problem. It won't even be stressful for me.
Yeah.
It might annoy me after a year if I didn't fail, but like I can maintain this without a problem and not over leveraging myself or anything. The workflow it works out for me. Yeah, sometimes I need to take a day or two off. I definitely paid for it by getting sick just a couple days ago. So, but most of all, okay, here's one thing. I don't know. You've talked about this too, and I think it was the last group call that we did. Everyone wants to go jumping towards North Carolina. I think it was like the third or fourth state that I ended up mailing to. So it wasn't like I jumped right into it, but like I said, it's been kind of just crickets. I sent out 3,000 pieces of mail, and it's kind of just not been. Even the people I did get response from, it was either kind of garbage properties. Like one, I just sent an email before we joined this call to him, and it might not even have legal access, and he was hoping to get 85 grand for it. When I think I sent out a mailer for like 55 or 56,000 based off of acreage, and also assuming that it will have road access. So, what have you been seeing in specifically that area in North Carolina when it comes to, unless I based my pricing off of which I thought was accurate data, like it almost feels like I'm still coming in way too low. For what people are expecting. So
yeah, man, I'll try to tell you what I think. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what causes this. So just for context for people that aren't in the community, we got kind of an inside joke, and it's so accurate. It's weird. People, when they first join with us, they always want to go to North Carolina or Tennessee. I don't know why. That's just where everyone seems to want to start. I always tell people that's like the pricing Olympics. It's like very, very difficult area to price. What you have going on is a couple of things. One, pricing is typically dictated by topography, mountains, lakes, oceans, stuff like that, or cities. So like that will kind of flux the price in weird ways. And so you find not all of North Carolina, especially the west side of the state, super hilly. And so you have huge variation in pricing. And then there's like some big major metro areas. So there's that going on. There's also, it's a very hot market for real estate in general. So you've got a lot of competition, not so much from just other land investors, but other regular investors, new home builders, end buyers. So everyone knows that they got something, right? If you own land there, you know you got something hot. Like this isn't new news. They've known that for a long time. North Carolina's been exploding. I think that's part of it. Like the owners are relatively savvy. They know they've got something really good, so they don't want to let it go at a smoking hot price. One of the other things that I've seen, which it sounds like you might have seen with that lead with the no access, is these properties are been owned by families for freaking generations, centuries in some cases. And so there can be a deep connection to the land that you don't see when you go and mail a 5 acre in the Southwest. You know what I mean? That's just newer land, newer ownership history. So you get a lot of people like the properties that we wanted, 100-acre plus. It's like, yeah, we've owned this since like the beginning of time, essentially. And they're not going to let it go for anything other than top dollar. There's a lot of factors at play. What I will say though, when I see with North Carolina, if I had to generalize, it's typically that people underprice it. I don't know why that is. I don't know if they're just looking at bad data or they're just being aggressive. As a generalization, when I look at the offers people are putting together, they're just underpriced. And so they typically get the bottom of the barrel leads calling back the junk, essentially, and then nothing from the top end. And what we know is like, well, if we price a bit on the higher end, we're going to have access to getting the good stuff, and the cheap people will call us anyway. So you might as well bump your offers up. So like, if you were to take a swing at North Carolina, just know whatever your price you come up with, probably bump it by 15% and see what happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I will say, like, the question I always ask people is just why? Why? Like, we're building out this market selection newsletter. We built out a team of data analysts, and we built out a piece of code that goes through and scrapes Redfin and takes all the data and breaks down all the information for size range, sell-through rates, all that stuff, ownership characteristics, out-of-state owners, all that stuff. And it looks like we're going to have about 1,000 counties that meet our requirements. There is no shortage of places to choose from because we know within a county, there's dozens of little markets within there. So I always tell people, like, just don't make it hard on yourself, especially not now to get started. And like, your marketing dollars really matter. One question that I had for you, when you came into this business, how much did you allocate in terms of like, here's what I'll spend on the business?
I got a good chunk of money that's sitting in the account earning like 4.5% interest right now. And then I think I allocated myself like a max of like 15 grand.
Yeah.
I think it was. Because even if I blew all of that, I still got a few grand that's like leaving my bank account without touching when I have all this money saved, without touching any of that. And also, like, I didn't want to go, again, I was still skeptical when I first did this too. So I didn't want to go throwing all my money on blast and just hope this works. Like, I just wanted to, all right, here's what I'm willing to lose if this completely fails. And about 15 grand, I think I gave myself. But at the same time, I've been obviously like, I save a lot of money. I don't spend shit really. Like, I have a habit of just like, some people, like I've even had like people ask, like, do you even eat, dude? Like I just don't spend money other than basic necessities because I just, again, want a house more than most things. So I allocated what I was willing to lose, and I got lost a little more than 15 grand in the past, so they didn't bother me if I did lose that. So I was like, all right, throw this down. If I don't see something come of this, pull back. Like, either one, I'm doing something wrong, and two, do I want to keep throwing more at it if it doesn't work? And obviously, I don't think I'd spend even a fraction of that. Plus, like, also, like, I'm working and saving more money as we speak. Actually, since I've started, all the money that I've already spent, I've made back and more than saved just from saving. So I'm already actually net positive from when I started, and I haven't had a dime come through yet, other than we're still waiting on the properties to sell too. So I'm in good shape right now when it comes to that. Even if you have some sort of exterior income that you can save, in disposable income, I guess you could say, from a job that you're working, I don't see why 10 grand couldn't do it. Like, especially if you have more coming in over the course of when you're doing this, I'd say 10 grand plus whatever else starts coming in, I bet you'll be just fine to get the ball rolling. So
yeah, 10 grand, it's a sweet spot. And 10 grand should get you, I mean, that should give you a couple months of runway. But like, as we've seen in your case and time again, it's usually about 90 days till you get your first deal. And all of that 10 grand is worth 50, 60, 100, and then you're just playing with house's money. Pay yourself back.
Yeah.
We put that money back to work. So sounds like you use, a fraction of 15, which is really cool. One of the things that I did though is like, I said, this is how much I'm willing to lose. And then I just took little pieces off of that. I didn't even use all the money that I needed to get started. I had 7 grand.
Yeah.
My first deal probably off of like 2 grand and spent, you know what I mean? So then it's like, all right, put myself back and we're good to go. Although my first deal only made me like $1,500. Wish I knew it, but no. Now, for people that are sitting on the sidelines that are thinking about joining us, whether it's another group coaching program or course, what would you say to them?
Definitely. I mean, obviously do this on your own accord. And like I said, I was so skeptical. It took me, this is not an exaggeration. It took me 6 or 7 months to wrap my head around it. Yeah. That is not, well, I wish I started 6 or 7 months ago. The market was even hotter when I was like thinking all that.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of come out, but like you said, when I first started too, like now if the market gets hot again, like we saw in 2020 and 2020, it's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I much rather learn what I'm learning right now in a tough market. So if it ever gets easy on me, I crush it.
Yeah.
So that's why it's far more concerning. So if you're sitting on the sidelines thinking about doing this, obviously do that on your own accord. Look into it, feel comfortable with it. But at some point, you're going to have to take the leap of faith too. Because like, I remember too, like when I was sitting there thinking on the sidelines, like eventually it just came to me, I was like, all right, here's what I'm willing to lose.
Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable with this necessarily because I'm still skeptical. I've got to throw myself into the fire and just do this, test it, man. Or I'll just never know. Yeah. It could have been a opportunity that came and went. I will have never known. So I'm willing to, especially as I'm getting older, I feel like I'm not willing to take as much risk as I was. I used to be crazy stupid and just like, wow, I throw myself in the fire happily as when I was younger. So I guess I'm a little bit more analytical and cautious for better or worse, because sometimes I will overthink something and overthink myself out of something. And I saw myself possibly kind of starting to do that. I was like, nope, just throw myself in there. It's not going to feel comfortable right away. And just get the ball rolling too. And obviously, like any other skill, enough time, you'll start figuring it out. It's just how much time do you want to allocate to it? And make sure, obviously, you're comfortable to take that first step. But I will say it's not going to feel comfortable right away, especially walking into a group of people that we're with who are, some of them have been doing this for a while now. It's a whole new lingo. It's a whole new world you're stepping into. It's different. It's different. But what I see just from me being in it right now is, this is one thing I think I just said it in the group chat the other day, that you just never know who that little letter is going to. You just never know. Because I think it was like Mike P just got that person. He has an entire portfolio of hundreds and hundreds of acres. You don't know if you're going to hit one of those people and they're going to like you all of a sudden. Yeah. You just don't know. You're literally casting such a wide net that some crazy stuff can happen. Like it's really wild. So, and without getting involved with it, without doing it, it might take a year before one of those things come across your desk, but it's good to be ready when they do and know this stuff when they do. So, but to put yourself out there in the first place, and do all this, it's definitely, it's worth it. It's worth it. And this skill, real estate's extremely important no matter where you go. Yep. So the skill, it stretches past just what we're doing and understanding how to price and look into real estate, do due diligence, whether it comes to even you go buying your own home. Like, realtors just want to make a sale. The seller just wants to make a sale. It's on you to make sure you're making yourself like a good purchase. So it's definitely, this is just important stuff to understand about real estate. And it just stretches so much further past what we're doing alone. And I think it couldn't be a negative thing to get involved with this. If you just even just take it on face value for what you're learning. Right. Just that. So definitely take your time to think about it, because it took me a long time, but don't take too long too. So don't take yourself out of it like I would.
Yeah, no, man, you're right though. You develop a skill that will last you a lifetime, both in the land business and however else you redirect this skill. You can buy any asset this way. It's really, really interesting. One of the things that you bring up, which is there's wisdom in it. There's also a tale of danger attached to it too. I'll tell you what I mean. So I think that there's a lot of value in mulling it over. Like, do not make a rash decision, because you're about to make a commitment for a year or longer. Like, you want to make sure it's actually something you want to do. What I don't like to see people do, we get this at this point, probably a dozen people a month that get on calls with us and say, yeah, you know what? We want to do a program, but I want to go get a proof of concept first. Okay. I understand where that logic comes from. The trouble is, I can't tell you, in the last year, we've probably spoken to 40 or 50 people that were in the whole 50, 60, 100 grand. Andy Barlow, before he joined us, trying to figure it out, 60 grand in the hole. The worst we saw was he got $100,000 into marketing, got 0 deals from it. It's like, it's not, there are minefields you got to watch out for. You will cut your race early before you even had a chance to win by trying to test drive it on your own. Like, I think that the marketing in this industry has led people to believe that it's as easy as throwing out a letter to some owner and getting the deal. It's like, no, it's simple, but it's not easy. Like, there's a playbook to this. And so it is okay to want to test drive an idea and then try it out, but do it with some freaking guidance. You will end your career before you even got started, right? So it's like, get critical, think it over, figure out, would you like this? But don't start trying to go willy-nilly on your own. It is too dangerous out there. And it could be as simple as just joining our community or any community, just chopping it up with other people. Like, it's not just about getting into a program. It's at least getting some guidance before you get started. So yeah, I digress. Anyways,
And always just no. That's actually it's just such a good point because you just try to jump into this like you guys in this group alone and just asking little questions has cut the learning curve and the failure curve so substantially that it's definitely worth the cost of getting involved with it. You might feel like a sunk cost of getting involved with a group. Then you still have all this work that you need to do to even get the ball rolling. But that money up front and the time spent learning all this stuff in a strategic way, because like you said, we say this time and time again, what other people are doing, blasting out 50,000 range or neutral letters or something like that. There's a lot of people doing that, and they're not really good at fielding the phone calls. They're not good at. It's the blind offer. The different mechanism that you guys use in this group allows to one, cut marketing costs in half and really target properties that you can really get at a good price, at the price that will work with you, the what we're looking for. It just, the learning curve gets cut so far down that to imagine someone else, like you said, and you see it all the time too, these people who came and they took a different route to test drive it too, and they didn't have that guidance in the beginning, and watching the hole that they dug themselves into. We still dug them out though, like
which is crazy. We dug up, we dug them out in 4 months. Insane.
Yeah, that's insane when you think about it too. Now that is just awesome to see that can happen still, and just that's how much what's opportunity is still in this market, especially done correctly too. So that's what gives, literally what you teach in this program gives you an edge that fractions of people have that are actually playing in this game. So it's you can join the swaths of people that are just sending out all these neutral letters and without really any context to the property itself, or you can again get very targeted with what you're looking for, cut the cost of marketing in more than half. And also get good properties too in the process too. And it just cuts the entire process too. I walked into it without a damn clue what I'm doing. I know I'm confident in my ability to go learn whatever it is too. So it doesn't bother me necessarily too, but in a matter of a couple of months, it starts to feel pretty comfortable too. So definitely worth hopping into. Again, make this decision on your own. You need to be comfortable with it, and you do not want to be throwing yourself in this. Like, definitely make that decision on your own, and also just be prepared for, like you said, bare minimum before anything cool actually happens. At least 3 to 4 months of work. I would say mentally prepare for 6 months of work.
Yeah.
Just before like you actually see a dollar enter your pocket in profit. So
yeah, it's smart. Plan for 6. Be pleasantly surprised at 3, but plan for 6. I think there's wisdom in that. Yeah, man. Yeah, you hit a lot of good nails on the head. I think that, like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's outdated information or what the case is. There's just there's a lot of just old playbooks laying around that people pick up on that just simply don't work. And I always tell people, it's like, because people are like, oh, competition. Like, yeah, there used to be like 2 guys doing this back in the day. Now there's like a couple hundred. I was like, oh, big whoop, a lot of competition. But I'm like, dude, the bar is set so low that if you're just incrementally better, there's no competition. Like, the way we skin this cat in this business, who are we competing with? It's like, it's no one. You're competing with a guy that doesn't pick up the phone that sends out a neutral letter. It's like, that is not our competition. Really, the only competition that we have are other end buyers telling the owner how much the property's worth, because we go after the creme de la creme, like the nice property. So yeah, I think there's a ton of wisdom in that. Well, dude, anything else I can help along your journey with where you're going right now?
Not a whole lot right now. This might find this a little bit funny too. Yeah. I've been, cause I started now and seeing this in Idaho too, when I was going pulling data. I'm like, one of the guys who owns the property is like right down the road. I'm seeing addresses that are getting pretty close to my house. I didn't realize how many Californians. I'm also from California. I realized a lot of states hate us. I get it. I understand. We come in here and we screw everything up, jack up the prices, and I get it. I completely get it. And honestly, I'm not happy about it myself, but that's where I live right now. So, a lot of people hate me for just being from California. It's kind of funny. But I remember I think it was Michael Bull. He was talking about how someone showed up to his door.
Oh, no, that was me.
That was you? Someone showed up to your door? Yeah. Like, were they angry? How that?
No, bro, they showed up to my door with a signed purchase agreement. What was weird is I was on a Zoom call. Someone comes up to my door and they knock, and I'm just like, okay, someone knocks. It's like Jehovah's Witness. They're going to leave in a little bit. Person just kept on knocking, didn't leave. And it was like this like Asian older couple that didn't really speak good English that like handed me this purchase agreement. And I was like, what the heck? And yeah, they're in San Diego. And I was foolish enough to use my personal address at the time. So yeah, you can get that. You know, way back in the day, I had a few people threaten me. So you definitely want to detach your address from the mailings for sure.
Well, I haven't done that right now.
Yeah.
I'm still going to get my personal address.
You can get I mean, you're not sending enough mail to where it's a huge danger or at all. I mean, theoretically, it could never be a danger, but getting a PO box is not a bad idea. Or if at some point, because one of the real beauties of this business is the fact that you can take it abroad, right? Like that's kind of the goal.
Yep.
Travel, run this business. I hate saying it, but it is one of those like laptop lifestyle businesses. I know it's so corny, but you can get a virtual mailbox where they'll send it to like a big like an office. They'll scan it, email it to you, and it's like a couple bucks a month. So that's really cool because you have like a virtual address that they'll use. But yeah, you want to be careful using your home address. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I caught myself like before this. I'm like, all right, we've used some of these addresses are getting a little too close to me.
Yeah.
Some of these, I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, this looks like a good property. Like, just delete it. So I'm like,
Right.
I don't even know if I have anything to really worry about. But like, I saw one that was literally like, I'm talking it's 6 miles from my house. You're right over. Yeah, he's right over there. I know exactly what road he's on. So it's like,
That's funny.
it's like, part of me wants to go over and just like knock and be like, hey,
Yeah, go the doorknob.
yeah, but so I've seen a lot of that too. But that Arizona and with the Idaho and some of Washington, I was like shocked how many people in the area that I'm around. I'm like, you guys all on the property up there. I'm like,
that is weird.
Pretty.
And you see a lot of Californians that owns land out of state. I don't know why we always get a lot of Californians on our lists.
Yep. No, might by the hate us all now. That's jacking up all the prices.
Yeah.
I don't think I thought you might think it's funny, but that's one thing it's been like kind of like I'm just so nervous about because I thought I've heard stories where I'm like, is this something I should be really worried about? Like,
dude, just pay realistically.
What's gonna happen?
Just pay the $10 or $20 a month. I would just get that off your chest. Especially like if you got like family living near you or with you, like it's not fair to them either. You know what I mean? In case some crazy person shows up at home. So like, actually, in the general chat, we were all just talking about it yesterday. Everyone shared the different virtual mailboxes they use, so you can hop in there and grab one of those. And that'll be great as you scale and as you travel. And honestly, like it sounds crazy right now, but you'll start getting dozens or hundreds of letters sent back to you a month, and that's just becomes so much work to sort through them. So it's a whole lot easier just to have the virtual mailbox.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Right on,
brother. Well, anything else I can help with, or are you just gonna be rocking and rolling, rinsing and repeating?
Yeah, I've rinse and repeat at this point. Keep the ball rolling. I think once start scaling up a little bit more too, I'll have more questions. But for right now, the solo operator, just maintain pace, and I know it could I'm gonna hit like a breaking point where I'm like, I'm burying myself right now. Like I'm burying myself, and something's got to give. So at that point, I'll have some more questions too. But I'll find that limit when I get there.
Yeah. So far, so good. Usually 7,500, 10,000 mailers a month solo is when stuff will start breaking, but you still got a good ways until then. If anyone wants to connect with you, you guys can find Anthony in our Discord. We'll put the link down below, just Anthony Reese. You can find him in there as well as the rest of the crew in there as well. Great place if you're just getting started, or even if you've been in for years. We have people that have been land investing for a decade, all in there. It's the fastest growing land investing community in the world currently, which is not saying a lot because there ain't many of them, but it's crazy how quickly it's growing. So it's a pretty fun spot to hang out. Well, any parting words to cap it off, Anthony?
No, I about to say, I actually had a friend, I have a coworker that I worked at my previous job too. I told him to hop on the Discord as well too, because I told him he's curious about what I'm doing. He's always curious about what I'm doing, and I tell him about it. Just hop on the Discord and start just let it sink in. Like watch what people are doing, watch what's getting said. Let's hop in the Discord if you're curious about it. Yep. There's a large group of people talking about everything under the moon involved in land investing. So just sit there on the sidelines and watch the conversation. Eventually, maybe get involved too.
Super smart.
And obviously, make the decision on your own behalf of whether it's something you're going to want to get into. Be prepared for work. Yeah. And there's a lot of opportunities. I will say that. So definitely, it's worth looking into at the very least. So go check it out.
Yeah. Good recommendation. And the cool thing too is everyone in this community is so damn sharing. You can show up and ask LIA's question, you'll get multiple answers. So there is no question that's too silly. And so sit on the sidelines, gather questions, ask them. Ton of good value in there. Well, Anthony, I appreciate it, man.